respected one another and other properties, and you know it is a sign of the times, and no matter where you go, things have changed. So people can't do things like leave bikes outside. Your property isn't necessarily safe anymore, and that's probably anywhere you go. My mother was a receptionist at a beauty parlor, I think, Wednesdays nights or Thursday nights or whatever, and she would come home and no one locked their cars, and some people still don't, but you kind of have to. It's kind of important to do that. My other people, like my aunt, would cook, and my grandmother just took and washed or whatever she could do around the house. African Americans didn't get the better jobs, and no one talks to me about going to college. I took 7 years of French, so I didn't know what I wanted to be, but I knew I wanted to incorporate that as my minor. And I'll never forget it. I had a guidance counselor say to me, "You should stay away from college courses and stick to secretarial courses and be a French-speaking secretary." And you know what? That's not the first time that has been said. Black students that are actually capable of going to college are pointed toward more tech schools or secretarial. People think racism is gone, but that happens in America today. Trust me, it happened on my job as a full-grown woman and a full-grown grandmother. And it happens today, and sometimes it's very subtle, and sometimes it's very blatant. People don't even realize they think like that. People used to say things on the job, and I was like, did she really say that in front of me? But they don't even know it. It was like they were having a normal conversation at home, and they'd say it here. It's not acceptable, but when you know who you are, you're really not offended by it. You may correct them or something like that, but you would also just let it roll off. Racism is real, and I don't care if Obama, no matter what color skin he is. Racism will never change. I don't see racism going away.
Mr. Roman and the students at Kids First Now. I hope they see what I do. You know, we pray a lot. I mean, for me, God is the foundation. God is the only thing that can change you, that can help you, that will lead you where you need to go. That's me. You know what I mean? I'm not the type to go and preach to people. I'll talk to them about it, but you can't force nothing on nobody. So I'm trying to embrace them and just becoming their friend. The biggest thing for me is education. Education is the only thing that no one can take from you. They can take everything from you but your mind. So I really try to get them to understand the importance of being educated. Understand that you try your best no matter what you do, and when you play sports, it's not a matter about when you win or lose. It's about keeping the right attitude whether you win or lose. Everybody cannot win. Everybody can lose. So you're going to have your ups and downs, peaks and valleys, but you still have to try your hardest to do what you need to do in life. That's, for my part, where God comes in. God has a plan for all you guys.
This is Joe Shipman on his life. Life is not what you look at, it's what you live through. You look at a person and say, oh fine, nothing wrong with him. You don't know that. A lot of things go through my mind. You can't go to this place, you can't read, what you going there for? You can't do this because you can't read.
Kevin again. So back in the day you had to learn how to play music. You learned music and you actually played instruments. Now they don't do that. A lot of people get up with a mic, put some music on in the background, See, this goes back to history, about where music came from. This thing with my daughter, she's up at Penn State and she asked me about the blues. One of her teachers said, well, gospel came out of the blues. Wrong. The other way around. Gospel was how blacks, how slaves communicated on the fields. It's how slaves kept themselves together, because we always had that spiritual side. The God-based foundation, so gospel music was a way for us to embrace on a spiritual side, down in the fields all day long in the hot sun. The blues came out of it, but when she said that, I said, why are they teaching it if they don't know the answer?
Jean Young on today in Mount Pleasant. I think it's just important that the ones that come after us will know what it was really like, how our parents were taught and struggled. They and their little bit of pennies purchased the land here and built or had their houses built. And then, like nowadays, there's a lot of young people. I can't fight them. They said they're not going to live here, and I thought, well, everybody has their choice of what they want to do. They're buying homes everywhere else, but I think it does good to preserve. But I don't know how much longer it'll be preserved after we're gone. Because I think the young people are they'll sell everything and go on. That's what I think. You'll come by one day and it'll be flattened. All the houses are here and you'll need a key or something to get in, a code to get in. And you'll come in and say, now I think my house used to be here. And Miss Hall used to live over here. And oh, that's where I think I will eventually end up. I know everything changes, nothing stays the same, Everything is changing. Everything changes constantly, but you just have to go with the flow.
I'm Deacon Edward Bird Sr. I'm chairman of the Deacon Board of this church. I've lived in Mount Pleasant for 72 years, and I've come to find that this place is multicultural. We've had German descent, Italians, Irish, Puerto Rican. And it's a place here that it's love in the community. It's love in the community. It's a place that you can come and actually become known. You can live here broke, and you can live here without going hungry. Somebody will lodge you or somebody will feed you. And we've all gotten along, all cultures, for 72 years. But now you have these college kids coming in. They'll come and stay 2 or 3 months, and then during the summer they go home. But they create a problem. They'll curse, they'll come and play, come park in front of your house, and they'll have beer cans or whiskey bottles, whatever. They'll throw them on your lawn, but they will not go back to their community and do that. They'll give a handshake passing drugs, but we're supposed to be ignorant to the fact, not knowing what they're doing. Now, if you go back into their neighborhood, right away, police will be on you, right away. If you go into the scriptures, it says, be bold and tell the way it's supposed to be told. And I'm telling it exactly the way it's supposed to be told. You can bring a white girl into this neighborhood, but I, as a black boy, better not go into your neighborhood with one. You know that. You know that.
Ken Burton, Xerox Executive and President of Mount Pleasant Civic Association. Like I said, initially it was helter-skelter. They weren't united and we weren't united. You didn't know who to call. The people who were living in the rental houses didn't want to communicate because why would I give my landlord's number and address so you can call them to put pressure me? So the township got the public information because basically it is public information. Students now, when they come to live in these houses, they have to register with the township.
Peggy Martin on the college students. It only disturbs me because I know that college kids have to live somewhere. My son went to Bucknell University and they had housing in the neighborhood. And what they did was they had control over their students and what their students did. The colleges nowadays don't care what their students do outside of college. But the thing that disturbed me the most is that they don't respect the neighborhood. I had one experience with a student because my house was behind their house. And one day they were having a party and one person decides to try to pee in the backyard. He didn't see me, but I was washing dishes and I knocked on my window and I'm like, hello, what are you doing? So things like that bother me.
More from Ken Burton. I think the students do care, once they get to know the people that are around. But as long as they're not responsible for their actions, then you know they may go a little overboard. I think one of the things is a line of communication being brought out. That's what we're trying to do now. It's going to help in the long run. You know, if you know your neighbor, you're less likely to do something to upset them. Actually, I have a student house right next to me. But when someone moves in, I go over and introduce myself and, you know, this is who I am, and if you have any questions.
Todd Bird, another of the many birds still living in Mount Pleasant. I actually think it's really nice to have some diversity in the community. I was alive when segregation was a problem, and I just never grew up around here feeling any racial discrimination. I had white friends my entire life in the area and in school, and it was never a big deal. I certainly face racism from time to time. I mean, it's there, and it's always an issue, but I was always aware, especially growing up in an all-black neighborhood. I love the area, and I don't have any issues with anybody, and I think it's really cool you guys are doing this project.
Joe Shipman, on Today in Mount Pleasant. This place makes you feel really nice, Mount Pleasant. Now it's in the last 15 years that when the college kids start coming in. After the forest, it went down, sold out. They put about 4 or 5 apartments in that building on the corner. Had too many there. And they would drink and cause all kinds of disturbance. They didn't care. Had beer cans rolling down the street. You know when a can rolls down the street, everybody can hear it. And Nick gets out there and talk about all kinds of talk at night. When you sleep in, they're hollering. And the cops, we never did turn them up. The cops come by and heard them. You know how cops gonna get together and make sure everything's okay. Next weekend, same thing. I don't want to go anywhere but here. It's like when a Christian first joins the church. Why leave here and try and find something else? Get something new. It don't make sense. So I'm gonna stay right here till the day comes.